Good morning, everybody. How y'all doing? What's up? Dan Kasper Show on the air. Appreciate you tuning in. However, wherever you may be checking in from this morning, whether it's on the radio dials of 105.1 FM, 790 AM, online, sportstalk1051.com. I got the video stream up and rolling as well, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. But happy Tuesday, everybody. Thank you for making us part of your start on this April 11th. What do we got on the good old game plan here for this morning? Well, last night's late game, in case you didn't stay up late for it. Brewers getting blanked by the Arizona Diamondbacks 3-0. Wade Miley picking up the loss, but overall was pretty fairly solid, except for giving up that dinger there in the fifth to give up a run in the first inning there. But nonetheless, overall, I would say pretty solid. But the Brewers' offense going cold last night in Arizona. Just 3 total hits from the Brew Crew. So Brewers' third loss of the season, and ironically, all 3 of their losses have been shutouts too. When you look at it, kind of a little maybe of an interesting nugget there. But nonetheless, bullpen. Hey, I know yesterday we asked the question, what has surprised you the most so far in the first 9 games of the season? Has it been the bullpen and the offense? And the bullpen last night holding it down again, extending their streak of 26 and a third consecutive scoreless innings. It is the longest streak in baseball this season. They now lead Major League Baseball in ERA, 0.77, and are fourth in batting average against with a 185. That's the Brewers bullpen continuing their terrific start to this season so far. We're gonna get Corbin Burnes tonight on the mound for the Brew Crew. I think there's a lot of Brewers fans that are probably maybe getting a little bit of anxious or a little anxiety surrounding Corbin. And maybe not a lot, but there's I mean some of you have kind of chimed in with that, thinking that that's probably one of your biggest surprises, maybe a little bit of a concern right now. Some are like, oh, it's just he's a dude. Let's give it a couple outings and such, see how he regroups and all that. But I think there's going to be maybe a little bit more than usual kind of some eyes from Brewers fans on Corbin Burnes' start tonight to see how he looks and see if he can kind of bounce back after a rough couple starts to begin the season so far. So we'll preview that game tonight coming up here. Also take a look at or recap the game a little bit more detail from last night as well. So we'll hit that up coming up on the game plan and such. Today we're also going to start to kind of get into maybe a little bit more of a NFL draft mode. We got 12 weekdays, I should say 12 show days. So it's not 12 days until the first round of the NFL draft, but the 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20, 21, 24, 25, 26. Yeah. So I'm double checking my math. Anybody who knows me, I suck at math. But 12 days leading up to the 12 weekdays leading up to the first round of the NFL draft. So kind of going to do a little like 12 days of Christmas sort of vibe to it, sort of feel to it. But what we're going to do is kind of look at a few prospects, few potential targets each day leading up to Thursday, the first round of the NFL draft, which is on the 27th. But we'll take a look at a couple or a few, depending on the day, of players who have either been mocked to Green Bay by some of the 500 million mock drafts out there, or maybe just some potential players that could fit a Packers need right now. It's not really predictions or anything like that, but we're just going to take a look at a few because, I mean, maybe maybe you kind of already been paying attention to some of the mock drafts out there, and you're kind of getting into draft mode and such. So we'll kind of give you maybe a little bit of a background on some of these players, give you a little bit of a scouting report and such. So we got 3 players we're going to be hitting up and just coming up here in a little bit to kind of kick off our, I guess, 12 weekdays of shows, first round draft picks. Can't come up with a good name for that. But again, it's just 12 show days. We know it's not 12 days until the first round, but we're only at 12 more shows until that Thursday. So I'll just tell you right now, we got 3 of them coming up here, a little bit of a tease, and they're all edge rushers today. All edge rushers. And it's been players that have been mocked by various NFL analysts out there as potential picks for the green and gold. So again, it's not my picks. It's not anybody listening. It could be somebody's pick who's listening right now, but we're just going to kind of give you a little bit of background and such on that. But other stuff on the docket. It is a Grind My Gears Tuesday. So if there's something that's kind of grinding your gears that you want to get off your chest on a typical Grind My Gears Tuesday, you can let us know via the texting line, Shoe Doctor's Bullpen line, Twitter, Facebook, video stream, all that fun stuff. We will do a little pop quiz coming up this hour. Get you your pop quiz question, kind of more towards the back end of this hour. And then Press Pass. It is a Press Pass Tuesday. So, excuse me. With the Packers tailgate tour beginning today, their first stop tonight. They're making a couple other stops on the way over here and such, but for their first, I guess, event, if you will, for tonight, it's going to be at the Lismore, helping benefit the Bolton Refuge House. And they are going to do a Q&A session there. But for our purposes here, for a little press pass action, if you could ask any one of these players or Mark Murphy, who are in attendance tonight, again, to kind of recap it, it's Aaron Jones, it's Romeo Dobbs, it's Elton Jenkins, it's HaHa Clinton Dix, it's Eddie Lacy, Devon House, and Mark Murphy. But if you could ask a question and, again, get a 110% truthful answer to it at tonight's event, what would it be? What would that question be to any one of those players, former players, or Murphy? What would you ask him? Obviously, right now we don't have a resolution in the Rogers sort of thing, so I'm sure some people will probably have that one as a popular one and such. But if you got something else that you would like to, hey, maybe you got a question for Aaron Jones, maybe you got a question for Elton Jenkins, or from one of the former players, HaHa Eddie Lace, or something like that. But get a 110% truthful answer, and what would that be? So you can, again, tweet them, Facebook them, video stream them, text them, whatever floats your boat there. We'll catch up with RJ Cardinal, our Badger analyst, coming up at about 8:30 this morning, catching up on all things Badger-wise. RJ Cardinal from our sister station, The Zone in Madison. We'll catch up with our good friends from the Chip of Steel, who have clinched a postseason spot, but they got a couple more games left to go here in the regular season, and they will be at home this coming weekend. So, but we'll catch up with them at shortly just past 8 o'clock this morning, right before RJ hops on here. So we got that coming at you as well. So lots of stuff to get to here this morning. Also, I should mention too, WNBA draft was last night. Aaliyah Boston, #1 overall selection to the Indiana Fever. But the Minnesota Lynx are the closest team that we have to our area here. Going with Diamond Miller with the second overall pick there. So, but let's get things rolling here on the coming up on the leadoff. Let's throw a little. I think we're going to do a little bit of a combo here. We'll talk a little Brewers, recapping the loss last night. Corbin Burnes. This is going to be the third time we have seen Corbin Burnes getting a start this year. If Corbin Burnes struggles again tonight, is that when you will officially kind of, maybe, sort of start to worry about Corbin Burns this year? Don't want to put any bad luck or jinx it or anything like that. But how close of an eye are you going to be paying attention to on Corbin Burns tonight, considering what we have seen from him in the first two starts of the season? How close of an eye are you paying Corbin Burns tonight? Kind of your, I guess, maybe our question to lead things off here this morning. And then we'll kick off the very long, stupid title of this segment that we're going to be doing for the next 12 shows, 12 weekdays of shows of first round draft picks for the green and gold. I'll tell you who the three players that we're going to be taking a look at today. Coming up in just a little bit, but let's get things rolling. Take that first break, and then the lead off. We'll kick it off with some baseball talk, and then get into the 12 days, 12 weekdays. I got to keep saying 12 weekdays on there because I know it's not technically 12 days, and I don't want to get yelled at by anybody. We'll be back in just a few minutes. How do you take your coffee? Black, or do you like a little cream and sugar? Are you a hot or iced coffee person? Maybe you're a latte person. You know what? It doesn't matter how you take your coffee because it's your coffee. Maybe you mix it up every once in a while to keep things unique and fresh. That's why at Cabin Coffee in Altoona, they have a wide selection of options for you to choose from. Whether you are in the mood for a blended frappe, an iced white coffee, or an Americano, Cabin Coffee has the coffee that you are in the mood for. So head on over to River Prairie and Altoona and grab your beverage of choice at Cabin Coffee. And like they say in their cups, just be happy and have fun. There you go. Simple but effective motto right there. Uh also wanna just apologize right away if I start to kind of lose my voice or take a little break to clear my throat. Battling a little bit of a cold right now. So if I kind of struggle a little bit there or I sound a little weird, my apologies there. So trying to knock this thing out before the tailgate tour tonight, which is now, I guess, looking at the clock, less than 12 hours. So if anybody has any old school remedies that doesn't involve blackberry brandy to kind of kick this and you know kick this to the curb here and maybe get this whatever the heck, cold allergies, whatever the heck it is. I'm open for anything. Again, as long as it doesn't involve blackberry brandy. Under normal circumstances, I'd be game for blackberry brandy, but not for today. So, you got any old school stuff? I'm for it. I've been trying to knock it out with a bunch of cold medicine right now. So, but regardless, let's get things going here this morning on the leadoff. Last night, the Brewers getting blanked by the Arizona Diamondbacks 3-0. And all three Brewers losses. Brewers have been blanked. Just kind of a, I guess, random nugget to throw out there. But Wade Miley did pick up the loss, but I thought he was fairly solid last night, even with the loss. Gave up a run in the first, and then the 2-run shot in the fifth there. But overall, I thought he was effective. I thought he was effective. Just didn't have any run support. Brewers only 3 total hits on the offensive side of things last night. In fact, Wade Miley, after the game, saying, I felt really good. I loved how the ball was coming out. I was executing pitches early. Tip your hat to that offense. They made an adjustment around the third somewhere. They started staying on the ball a little bit better. And I was a little late recognizing it to get the ball rolling. I'm happy by how the ball is coming out. I had a blast working with Willie Contreras tonight. I think it's just going to get better, learn from each other, and just continue to improve and find ways to get through at bats. Craig Counsell saying, I thought Wade pitched well. I thought they put a good swing on a ball late in the start, and that was certainly a big swing of the bat, but Wade did a nice job. Wade's a good pitcher. This is what Wade does when he's healthy, and our job is to keep him healthy. We thought if he can be healthy, then he's going to provide quality innings, and through 2 starts, that's exactly what he has done. So, but the bullpen again, keeping their scoreless streak intact, trying to, still keeping the team within striking distance, just shutting it down after Wade Miley, got through his innings. 3-0. Bullpen did their job. That consecutive scoreless streak or consecutive scoreless innings streak right now is at 26 and a third. As we mentioned a little bit earlier, the longest streak in baseball this season. They now lead Major League Baseball in ERA, which is .77, and are 4th in batting average against, which is 185. Counsell saying about his bullpen. Every guy in the bullpen is pitching really well, and we're getting quality stuff out there. So, but Brewers will try again tonight, and they got Corbin Burnes going on the mound. Their ace, their number one guy, but he hasn't looked like their number one guy this season yet. Their Cy Young contending pitcher, a guy that's from all the projections and predictions and all that fun stuff out there before the season started. A guy that was heavily picked to be a National League Cy Young Award winner, be the strikeout leader in the National League. And through the first couple of games, hasn't really looked like that. And for some Brewers fans, kind of like maybe a little concerned, maybe maybe a little bit nervous. So the question that I'm throwing out to everybody here this morning, how concerned are you about the I should say how concerned are you about the Brewers, but are you keeping a closer eye on Corbin Burns' performance tonight? 0-1, 9.64 ERA, just 6 strikeouts through two starts. Corbin Burns, who, has racked up all those strikeouts throughout his career. Just 6 strikeouts so far this year. And if Corbin Burns does struggle, let's knock on wood, not trying to jinx anything, but if he does struggle, then really how concerned are you about Corbin Burns at this point? Or is 3 games too small of a sample size for you? Kind of looking at some of the matchups here when you look at the lineups and that. Not a ton of experience, especially with the Diamondbacks lineup going up against Burns. You're looking at like a couple guys got a couple games worth against Corbin Burns. So, I mean, nothing really to kind of, I guess, really focus on. I mean, Walker's 7 at-bats, 143. Marte's got 5 at-bats, batting 400. You got Rojas, 6 at-bats, 167. Everybody else has got like 3, 4, 2, 3, 4 at-bats. So not a whole lot there. Flip side, a little bit more experience with Kelly, who's going on the mound for the Diamondbacks tonight, going up against this Brewers lineup. Willy Adames has had some success against him. 12 at-bats with a 4.17 average. Anderson, 6 at-bats, 333. Voit, 7 at-bats, 286. Yelich has struggled. 14 at-bats, .071. .071. Victor Caratini, 6 at-bats, 333. Tellez is 0 for him. 9 at-bats and flat out 0 on that batting average too. So I think if Corbin goes out there and struggles a little bit tonight, and it's something similar to the first 2 games, then I think, not to push the panic button or anything, but then I think you kind of have to look at it and be like, okay, what's the dealio here? What's going on here? Because you look at his first game against the Cubs opening day. 5 innings, 4 hits, 4 earned runs, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. Follows that up by going up against the Mets, 4 1/3, 6 earned runs, 7 hits, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. At one point you can maybe go like, okay, Cubs opening day, weather, maybe a little windy, a little colder out there, that sort of thing. First game, kind of brush it off to the side. Then you look at the Mets, and it's like, okay, Mets coming in, kind of desperate for a win, maybe looking to get it done, trying to, get off the schneid there a little bit. They got a good lineup, or at least we all thought they had a good lineup looking at it on paper. I think they'll be okay. They're like, okay, tough lineup. They're in a little bit of a desperate mode here. But going to be kind of running out of excuses here if Corbin Burns is going to struggle again tonight going up against the Diamondbacks. So I think we're all looking for some positive signs. It kind of reminds me a little bit, was it last year with Brandon Woodruff? Remember Brandon Woodruff was struggling a little bit in spring training, and I think off the top of my head, I'll have to double check, but kind of like slow start to the season too, but then settled down nicely. Obviously, he was last year dinged up a little bit with injuries and such, but going to be running out of excuses if Corbin Burns struggles tonight. against the Diamondbacks. Now, I mean, there could be other circumstances. I know last night like Craig Counsell even talked a little bit about it after the game. If you didn't get to watch it or such, there was some. Let's just say there were some disagreements with the home plate ump last night with the strike zone. Brewers weren't the biggest fans of the strike zone last night and some of the calls up at home plate. If you were watching it last night, you probably noticed that or listening to it as well. But Brewers were definitely frustrated with some of the calls up at home plate last night. So I mean, you kind of factor that into maybe tonight, looking at Corbin Burns' overall performance and such, and other other circumstances surrounding that, I guess. But I think there's going to be a good chunk of Brewers fans that are going to be maybe paying a little bit more attention to Corbin Burns tonight in a way that we didn't really maybe expect heading into the third game of the season. Meaning, I think we all just assumed he was kind of a lock. Yeah, he's probably going to have a couple games here or there where it's a hiccup in that, but we just assumed coming in he's going to be, almost a for sure thing, locking it down. Heading into his third start of the season, it's a little bit of a different feel. Like I think a lot of Brewers fans are at this point now where they just want to okay, we just want to make sure we're good. We want to make sure everything's good with Corbin. Let's see it tonight. Let's see he's okay. Nothing to really freak out about. Because if he does go out there and he struggles, then I think you're going to have a lot of people freaking out tomorrow or even during the game. If he goes out there and looks like what he did maybe against the Mets or something like that, I think people are going to start to really kind of like, what is going on here? And then I'm just kind of like trying to play this out in my head. And then you're going to have people maybe try to like connect some dots. Well, is he still upset about the arbitration hearing? Is he still, annoyed with that whole process? Or is he not happy in Milwaukee because of that? And et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Because that's going to happen. That's going to be thrown out there. Whether it's legit or not, it's going to be thrown out there on the socials, on Facebook, on Twitter, all that sort of stuff. It's going to happen, right? But no doubt, I'll be paying a little bit more attention to the game tonight in terms of Corbin Burns. I think we all just want to see a performance from him like, oh, okay, that's the Corbin we know. That's the Corbin we expected. All good. Let's rock and roll. But if he doesn't, then I think you're going to have a lot of people kind of a little bit more nervous and a little bit more worried about this whole thing. Because you can make the excuses maybe for opening day. All right, opening day, elements, blah, blah, blah. Mets, good lineup, desperate, blah, 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 blah. Not anymore. Time's running out. Can't do it. So, and of course, too, we'll see how the strike zone looks tonight for the Brewers. As we mentioned, there's a good article up on if you have, I think sometimes you can get the free version, but Todd Rosiak has it posted up there in the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel if you want to see some of the quotes from Craig Counsell and such about the Brewers' frustration about their play, about the umps behind the plate last night. Yeah, Craig Counsell saying, talking about the other pitcher for the Diamondbacks too. I thought his curveball was really good tonight. We just couldn't see it. It wasn't for a strike as much as it was down and out of the zone. It kept getting swings, especially early in the game. A lot of swings on it out of the zone. It was a good pitch. He's got it, but it was just good enough where we weren't recognizing it, and he did a good job with it. But talking about some of the calls from the umpires, I think that was the feeling around the dugout, was that there were some takes that were balls that weren't called, and they were kind of in crucial spots. This was from Brian Anderson. That's just something that's going to happen in a game of baseball. We have human error. That's going to happen. So as an offense, We got to put this one behind us and come out ready to go tomorrow. Council, look, the umpire's calling strikes. We deal with that every night. These guys have got to make decisions on balls and strikes that are on the edges every night. When the balls on the edges don't go your way, absolutely it's frustrating. The challenge for the hitter is to identify the 18 inches of the plate, and when they feel like they do and don't get rewarded for it, it should be frustrating. So there you have it. Your picks for the game tonight. What are you expecting from Corbin Burns? Hit me up with a text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912. What will you start to maybe panic if Corbin goes out there tonight and struggles? Or do you still give him the benefit of the doubt? At what point do you kind of go out there and start to worry about Corbin Burns? Is it tonight? Is it a couple more games? Is it through the month of April? What's your line? Because we looked at it yesterday. You know, he's got the start tonight, and then he's going to get, if everything goes on track, he'll get the final game against the Padres, too. Another tough lineup to go up against. And then believe he'll get another start at home against Boston. And then potentially, maybe even against the Angels, too, Trout and Ohtani. So, I mean, he's going up against some decent lineups here. So, but again, this is a guy that has won a Cy Young Award and was predicted to maybe even win another one this year and to lead the league in strikeouts. At what point do you start to get a little bit nervous about Corbin Burns? And will it be after tonight's game if he struggles, or do you give him a little bit more? Let me know. Hit me up with a text, 715-830-1912, Twitter at DANKASPER, Facebook.com/Kasper Sports. We're on the video stream there too. So, all right, switching gears here just for a little bit until we get some responses there about the Brew Crew. So, we are 12 weekdays, 12 show days away from the, well, actually, it'll be 11 for me because I'm going to miss the Friday before the draft because, well, that's my turkey tag. So I got to go turkey hunting that day. So it's, I guess, yeah. But regardless, 12 weekdays, 12 show days until the day one, first round of the NFL draft. And I kind of mentioned it yesterday and even a little bit last week towards the end. I feel like now it's really going to start to kick in for me. This year, for whatever reason, the draft has kind of like almost been on the back burner. And that's because the Bucks have been so good. The Brewers have been off to a fantastic start. We just wrapped up March Madness, just wrapped up the Masters the other day too. So, I mean, a lot has been going on. But now I think it's starting to kind of kick into gear, at least for me. And probably for some of you out there, draft has been like something you've been paying attention to for a little bit longer here. And I love the NFL draft. It's one of my favorite events. But this year it's just kind of like, okay, but we got a lot of other stuff going on. But I think today is a good day to kind of to kick off the 12 show days, weekdays of potential first round draft picks for the green and gold. And today, and I'm basing these off of kind of like I'm been looking at the mock drafts, been looking at all that stuff. And I'm basing these guys off of who I've seen mocked in various mock drafts going to the Packers or position of need for the green and gold. So kind of the goal of this whole thing is to kind of give little mini scouting reports, if you will, on these various players in case their name is announced in the first round on April 27th. Side note, I know a few of you have asked if we're doing a draft thing. To be honest with you, still working on it, mostly thinking about it, what we could do or what we're going to do and that sort of thing. There's been a lot of events going on right now, so still kind of hashing it out if we're going to do anything. But anyways, let's the three players that we're going to take a look at today, all edge rushers. Okay, all edge rushers. We got Myles Murphy. Myles Murphy has been a name that has kind of been attached, I think, a lot more recently with Green Bay. edge rusher from Clemson. Uh, Lucas Van Ness, a guy kind of, well, Badger fans or even Iowa fans, you've seen quite a bit of him, obviously in the Big Ten, playing for Iowa. But really early in the mock drafts, too, was a guy that was heavily attached with the Packers in some of those mock drafts. And then Nolan Smith from Georgia, guy that kind of, if you remember at the combine, showed off some of his athletic traits and his speed over there. But could the Packers again go to Georgia for their first round picks? Yeah, Eric Stokes a couple years ago. Last year was Quay Walker and Wyatt. Could they go out and draft another Georgia Bulldog in the first round? So, tell you what, we'll take a quick break here, and then I will kind of take a look at these three players as we kick off our 12 show days of potential first round Packers draft picks, kind of giving you mini scouting reports on such. That way, when their name is called, you kind of already heard about them. You already know about them a little bit. So let's do that. First break, or yeah, second break. See, this cold is messing with my head this morning. I apologize. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Tonight's the night. Packers tailgate tour at the Lismore, benefiting the Bolton Refuge House. Aaron Jones, Romeo Dobbs, Elton Jenkins, Devon House, Eddie Lacy, haha, Clinton Dix, Mark Murphy, and such. Tickets available at the door tonight, too, if you want to head on over. Doors open at 6 p.m. So we'll see you there tonight. We're going to do a little bit of an auction as well, unless G-Man's going to be there, and G-Man might have to go up against the Hall of Famer and the MVP with that one there. But should be a good time. 6 p to 7:30. 6 p to 7:30. So we'll see you there tonight. Again, all it's to benefit the Bolton Refuge House, a very, very worthy cause and great organization over there. So let's help raise some money for Bolton Refuge House tonight. All right. So again, 12 show days of potential first round draft picks for the Packers begins today. Let's take a look at 3 edge rushers. After we go through these little, I guess, mini scouting reports and such, let me know if any of these guys you would be okay with Green Bay drafting in the first round using their first round pick. Would you be good or not good with any of them? Let me know. Okay, I'm curious. Let's start with Miles Murphy, the kid from Clemson. Again, we're going to be looking at edge rushers in this one, and maybe for some of you, you're like, you know what? I just don't think edge rushers is worthy of a first round pick, and that's fine. I'm not making my picks or anything like that. I'm just basing it off of the mock drafts that have been out there. Maybe a position of need. I will say I do think edge rusher is a position of need in terms of depth. I think a big question mark is going to be whether Rashawn Gary is going to be ready to go. You got Rashawn, then you got Preston Smith, and I know you got Kingsley over there too, and they brought back Hollins and such. But I'm a believer of you cannot have too many defensive linemen or edge rushers. I want them all. So, looking at Miles Murphy, let's look at the physical traits. 6'5", listed at 6'5", 268 pounds, 270 pounds. You're looking at the next gen stats. So they got some score breakdowns here. Production score was listed as a 72, which put him at the combine for edge rushers, the 2023 combine rank 13th. Athleticism score amongst other edge rushers was 7th highest. Total score was 4th highest among all edge rushers at the 2023 combine. Looking at some of his traits listed here. Gets up the rush track with sudden first step. Uses a spin move to disengage from run blocks. Crashes down hard to spoil the run from the backside. Keeps his tank full of gas for pursuit. Slants into the gaps with proper bend and leverage to counter watch down attempts. Lateral burst to beat tackles across their face off the snap. So those are some of the NFL size and length for some scheme versatility. Those are some of his positive traits there. His weaknesses. Maybe he needs to work more on adding a little bit of an inside counter move. A lot of outside stuff. Maybe he needs to work a little bit more on adding the inside move. Below average short area agility as a tackler. Takes time getting to top speed in his pursuits. And he is just 21, just turned 21. So he is a little bit of a younger one, which I'm in Green Bay for crying out loud. Kenny Clark, was he like 18, 19? I'm being a little facetious there. But, I mean, he was extremely young when Green Bay drafted him. I think he's still, mid-20s or something like that? And it feels like Kenny Clark has been around for a hot minute. But Miles Murphy, obviously, you look at the physical traits, the 6'5", 270 and such. He's a big man. Same as Lucas Van Ness, which we've all seen in Big Ten play. 6'5", over 270 pounds. His production score ranked as the 12th highest at the combine among edge rushers. 9th highest in the athleticism score, ranked seventh in total score. He did more of the combine drills about a month ago, 4.58 in a 40-yard dash. His three-cone drill, which Green Bay has historically looked at and amongst a lot of their prospects, was a 7.02. Prototypical frame, fires out of the stance, play strength to anchor and press blocker as a two-gapper, power in the hips to battle through angle blocks, keeps pushing forward with that secondary rush effort. Agility helps to corral mobile quarterbacks, which a lot of people would probably like to hear. Some of his weaknesses: hasn't learned to transition from a bull rusher into a closer, very average foot quickness for inside moves, lacked effectiveness as an interior rusher, so maybe more suited as that outside rusher. Just, you can't maybe a lot of times we see like guys lining up maybe in the middle, little versatility there, can put their hand in the dirt, line up on the line. Sounds like a little bit Lucas Van Ness, maybe more of that outside. Same for Nolan Smith. You look at Nolan Smith, he's smaller than these other guys, 6'2", about 240 pounds. Production score ranked 5th at the combine amongst edge rushers. Athleticism, very high, 2nd. And then 5th overall in total score. We mentioned that 40. He was the one dude that just like, holy moly, look at that guy run a 4.39 40 at the combine. 4.39 40. It's insane. Obviously, he's got the speed. He attacks pulling blocks, cuts a tight, efficient track to the ball in pursuit. Potential to become a bend and flatten rusher. Agility for more creative edge-to-edge attacks. His weaknesses, though, his size. He is slender. Will need to add more weight. More mass is probably the best way to put it. Very average pursuit speed for a smaller player. And he's unable to control his block and shed quickly. And there's, obviously with his size concern, can he last? Health-wise, physicality for a whole season. He is smaller than those two other guys that we just threw out there, Miles Murphy, Lucas Van Ness, and they're 6'5" and 270, whereas Nolan Smith, smaller, 6'2", about 240. And that's probably going to be his biggest concern for a lot of people. Again, he's not going to be a guy that you can line up on the defensive line and go after the quarterback up the middle. Maybe you could do like a little Zadarius Smith from a couple years ago when Green Bay would have Rashawn Gary and Preston Smith on the edges. And then you have Zadarius running up the middle and such, going after him. So, but what are your thoughts on those three? Any of those three guys kind of trip your trigger maybe a little bit, and you wouldn't mind seeing Green Bay using a first-round pick? Let me know. Hit me up with a text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912. While we wait your picks, let's say good morning to Morgan this morning.
Hey, morning, Kasper. Morgan. Are you going to get out in this weather and hit some balls?
I'd like to.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What's the plan? Today, tomorrow, Wednesday, all three? Are you a get out early and stay out on the course kind of guy?
Well, I can't today. Got the Packers tailgate tour.
Mm-hmm.
And then the weekend's supposed to be kind of crappy.
So, I know the weekend's supposed to dump again. That's why I thought maybe you'd take a couple of these weekday shots.
Hutzy did have school yesterday, so I was with him, and I don't know. I'm trying to find some time.
And so excited for the tailgate tour. I know you got some hosting duties. You got your questions loaded. What are you going to ask?
I'm hoping I can ask some questions. I'm hoping my voice lasts.
I see that. You're popping cough drops like breakfast here. What's going on? You got what everybody has?
I think so.
Yeah. And you can tell you're sick because you have the serious cough drops. You're not getting like the wild cherry Ludens. Yeah. That's when you know you're an adult.
That's why I'm looking for like old school remedies to kick this that doesn't involve blackberry brandy.
Oh, you took mine.
Yeah.
You use that blackberry brandy for everything.
Yeah.
Did you try like the classic little lemon and honey and
I got that on my desk.
That might help a little bit. So. I'm going to say this, and I know it's a little polarizing, 2 words, neti pot.
Mm-mm.
Have you done it?
Mm-hmm.
Do it.
Mm-mm.
It'll help. snort that water up your nose, let it run out the other side.
No,
not only is it pretty sexy, it's also efficient.
Yeah, that's making my eyes water already talking about that. So.
There's your solution, though. Yeah. That's what you got to do. Oh. You got to eat the serious vapor cough drops and neti pot. You get yourself up to the next level.
Vicks on the bottom of your feet.
I've heard that too. Yeah. But otherwise, just put it in your nose holes. You breathe it in all day, and that'll clear up your sinuses a little bit.
I look like an idiot when I'm at home, more than usual, but I stuff Kleenexes up my nose.
Oh, yeah, just to keep the drippage under control.
Yeah, and it helps me breathe, actually.
Hey, you're not the only one with us right now. I think a lot of people can relate. I'm hearing a lot of that raspy, chesty stuff going around.
Yeah.
You got plans tonight, I know, with the Package Tailgate Tour. Looking forward to that. But do you have plans for Bacardi? You know what it is? The National Pet Day today.
Yeah. Isn't it every day or every week there's a dog day, puppy day, pet day, or something like that?
But come on. Can we really over-celebrate pets?
They should do it every day.
What's Bacardi's favorite treat?
Probably ice cream.
Really? Not gonna go for like the hot dogs or the steak or anything. He likes the sweet stuff.
Oh, she'll eat that, but yeah, like the whipped cream or ice cream. Yeah, she will go to town on that.
Take her to get a pup cup. Take her.
She's getting
drive-through day, pup cup day. Yeah. Come on, Dad. Get on it.
I know. Veronica's been cutting it out on her a little bit because she's gonna be 14 and she's got some seizure stuff going on.
Oh man. Well, look. Think about. Do you have like a history of pets from childhood that you have a favorite pet?
Yeah, growing up, we always had like cats though.
Oh.
It's like we tried with dogs, but the house I grew up on was in the city. It was just not fair to dogs.
Okay, so
not a lot of room.
Favorite cat in the history of pets growing up on National Pet Day?
It'd have to be my kitty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What name?
Kitty.
Kitty.
Yep.
And that was the one.
That was the one because she acted like a dog.
Okay, see there's where you get me on board. I love all animals, but I got to be pretty firmly planted in camp dog. I don't wish cats harm, but let's face it.
I'm a dog person now.
I look at cats like humans. Like as a species, not my favorite. I know a select few that are okay. A couple sit on my lap. We're all good, but I'm kind of allergic to the rest of them.
Yeah.
But if Kitty acts like a dog, that's a good start.
Yeah, like she would. Yeah, we would play fetch and all that.
I like it. Don't forget to spoil Bacardi today and have fun at the tailgate tour. Anybody heading out to see the pack?
All right.
Good day for it.
Yeah, it will be. One in. We got 2 more to go. Let's kick it off with some Pop Quiz Tuesday and Sports Nuggets of the Day after these quick news updates. All right, second hour kicking off on this Grind My Gears Tuesday morning. Big thanks to all of you tuning in wherever, however you may be tuning in from online. Swan.com. Got the video stream up and rolling. And of course, 105.1 FM and 790 AM. Coming up here in just a little bit, we'll get back to some more football talk. We get back to some more baseball talk as well. Corbin Burns on the mound. If he goes out there and struggles tonight, how concerned would you be about Corbin Burns struggling the first couple of outings so far? So, are you giving him a little bit more leeway, or if he goes out there and struggles again tonight, do you start to like, I don't know, man. Now I'm starting to worry. Now I'm starting to worry. Now I'll start to worry. So, let's go, and I'll give you the pop quiz question first. All right, so since we kind of started to kick off our draft chat here, and kind of made a little bit of a joke, like, hey, it could just be the third straight year that the Packers draft a kid from Georgia in the first round. So I'm going to give you kind of maybe two different questions here. What school has produced the most Packers draft picks? What school, what college has produced the most Packers draft picks? Actually, no, I'm just going to keep it at that. I'll keep it generic like that. What school, what college has produced the I'll slip it down here a little bit. Since 1936, the start of the NFL draft, what school has had the most first round draft picks produced by or picked by the Packers? So, what school? First round. Okay? First round. You can let me know via the text again. Try not to look it up. Try not to cheat. Try not to, unless you know it off the top of your head right away. That's pretty impressive. I had to look it up. I didn't know what it was. So you can send those on over on the Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912. All right, so we'll get that answer coming up here in just a little bit. Let's also do the sports nuggets of the day, brought to you by Hansay Associates. Let's go with 1907 in New York. Umpire Bill Clem called a forfeit in favor of the Phillies when Giants fans disrupted play with snowballs. All right, April 11th, snowballs. Let's go with 1921. The first live sports event on radio took place this day on KDKA radio. The event was a boxing match between Johnny Ray and Johnny Dundee. Let's go 1940. Andrew Ponzi set a world's record in a New York pocket billiards tournament when he ran 127 balls straight. Ooh. 1947, Jackie Robinson became the first African-American player in Major League Baseball history. He played in an exhibition game for the Brooklyn Dodgers. 1966, Emmett Ashford became the first African-American Major League umpire. 1980, Gordie Howe played his final NHL game at 52 years old and 10 days. That's all I think I got. Yeah, those are just some of your sports nuggets of the day, brought to you by Hansay Associates. The NBA play-in tournament begins tonight. The Bucks will be kind of hanging around to see who they will be facing. I know I asked yesterday, what are your predictions for the NBA tournament, NBA playoffs? Not just for this round, but like who do you got in the finals, and who do you got as your finals champion? Now that officially it begins tonight. Atlanta at Miami. That's the 7th versus 8th place game. And then Minnesota, the T-Wolves, taking on the Lakers. Minnesota has suspended Rudy Gobert for this play-in game against the Lakers after throwing that punch to his teammate on the sideline in their bench area. So, and then tomorrow, reminder, it's Chicago at Toronto, and then Oklahoma City at New Orleans. Then Friday's games obviously will be the rest of the play-ins for the ace-seeded games in there. And then things really get going here on Saturday. Brooklyn at Philadelphia, the 7th seed, whoever gets 7th seed at Boston, New York at Cleveland, Golden State at Sacramento, and then Sunday, the rest of the games there. Which is, we know the Bucks play on Sunday. We just don't know a time or who they play yet at this current point. So let's catch up on some texts here that are not the answers to the pop quiz question yet, because I want to give a couple more minutes here for people. And don't forget, if you can, put your name next to the text if you want. You don't have to, but if you want, that way I can give you credit if you get it right. Let's go with so it is a Grind My Gears Tuesday. So I'll tell you this. Surveyor Sam is now grinding my gears because it's the same Grind My Gears that we read off last week. So I'll read it again, though. DK, you know what grinds my gears? Getting off a plane. It drives me insane. Everyone has been shoved into a metal can for multiple hours and are angry enough as it is, smelling your nasty sandwich and body odor. But then you decide to take your sweet time trying to find your luggage and getting off. You might as well just stand in the middle of the aisle, read the paper. These are my rules for getting off of a plane. No one will stand at all until it is your time for your road to leave. 2, create a plan. Have your bag in hand that's under the seat and know where your overhead bag is located. 3, when it's time to leave, you have officially 1.6 seconds to get out of your seat and get to your bag. If you have a kid, it doesn't matter. Drag them by their foot. Then exit the plane as fast as possible. Do not talk to the pilots or crew, thanking them. Get up and get off. All right. Second week in a row, Surveyor. Having grinding his gears about airplane stuff. So, rest of you, if you got anything else, you can hit us up with your Grind My Gears on this Grind My Gears Tuesday. Catching up on some other texts here about Corbin Burns. We've got Burns is supposed to be the best, no more excuses. A true ace should be able to shut down a high-end Major League lineup. He needs to go at least 6 innings tonight with 8+ Ks and no earned runs. He's hurting himself in his future contract if he's still pouting about his arbitration and not pitching 100%. G-Man, I am concerned about Corbin, but he will bounce back tonight. Brewers will win. We'll win 6-2, right? 6-2. So, other ones, I will be definitely concerned about. Corbin Burns is from Matt. I'll definitely be concerned about Corbin Burns if he struggles again tonight. What the heck do you think is going on with him? I don't know. Another one, I don't know the name of this one, but says, if Corbin Burns goes out there and struggles like he did the first 2 games, I wouldn't be surprised if we see that magical injured list designation for him for a little bit. You know, I was kind of wondering that the other day, too. If he goes out there and struggles, could we see that? Where, you know, is it a 10-day IL and then, you know, maybe a little bit of a one rehab start or something like that. But that thought kind of crossed my mind the other day as well. I was like, oh, we're going to see that. Another person here says, I'm willing to give him through the end of April. This is from Ben. I'm willing to give him through the end of April to get this thing turned around. He went up against a desperate Mets team. Opening day, can never know what's going to happen there, especially in the elements. And then looking at some of his future starts, he's going to be going up against tough lineups. But if he gets into May and he's still up and down, definitely concerned. Another texter here says, definitely concerned because the Brewers will not make the postseason if Corbin Burns is going to struggle throughout the entire season. Okay. Keep those thoughts coming. You can, again, hit me up on the Shoe Doctors bullpen line with a text 715-830-1912 or on Twitter at DANKSPER, Facebook.com/Kasper Sports. If you didn't hear what the pop quiz, Tuesday pop quiz trivia question was, or not trivia question, Tuesday pop quiz question was, what college since 1936, the start of the NFL draft, What college has had the most first-round picks for the Green Bay Packers? So which college has the Packers selected most of their first-round picks from? Give me your answers. Let me know what you're thinking. There's some answers on here, and like I said, I had to look it up myself too. I thought it was a certain school, but it wasn't. It wasn't. And the key here is going to be first round picks. First round picks. Okay? Think about it. First. So get those answers on in. Is Georgia going to get is because we're kicking off our 12 weekdays of first round draft show days of highlighting some first round draft picks that potentially could be targets for the Packers. We're kind of focusing on players that you might see in some mock drafts or have been seeing in some mock drafts and that sort of thing. So we were looking at a few edge rushers this morning. Miles Murphy from Clemson. You've got Nolan Smith from Georgia. Could Green Bay go 3 straight years where all their first round picks are from Georgia? Eric Stokes, Quay Walker, Wyatt, and then of course Lucas Van Ness. Lucas Van Ness. So get interesting picks over there too. Interesting picks. I'm not going to tell you if anybody's got it right or wrong because I don't want to give it away. I don't want to give it away. But got a couple more minutes to text those babies on over here. Okay. Reminder too, coming up a little over an hour from now, we're going to catch up with RJ Cardinal from our sister station, The Zone in Madison. We'll catch up on all things Wisconsin Badgers with him. Transfer portal for hoops. Probably been seeing some players going in and out, that sort of thing. We'll catch up with RJ about spring ball practice too. Right before that, we'll catch up with our friends from the Chip with Steel. Chip with Steel, they've clinched a playoff spot. So they got 2 more games left to go though here in the regular season. So we'll kind of preview that and then talk some postseason as the Steel for the first time getting ready to go into the Robertson Cup playoff. So they got it done during their road trip to Alaska. So we'll be talking to those guys. We'll be talking to those guys in a little under an hour from now, just past 8:00. So, all right, let's take a quick break here, and we'll talk some more football with Joe here, and then plus we'll give you your pop quiz, your Tuesday pop quiz answer. So, quick break. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Want to give another big thanks to our awesome partners and friends from Carpet City Flooring Center for building that custom putting green that we used on Friday during our live show from Hy-Vee for a little Masters Friday. So big thanks to the entire team there, not only for building that and putting it together, but manning it. Matt and Ben, shout out to those two fine individuals for running the putting contest too. So big thanks, huge thanks to the entire team for Carpet City Flooring Center. We're going to be announcing the winners. I'm going to be chatting with Carpet City later on today, and then we'll do like a live announcement on the winners for the Odyssey putter and the Callaway driver and such. So make sure we'll get you some more details, but it will be happening this week. And not bad for a couple of you hitting a couple putter, Surveyor Sam. We had a couple other individuals who hit 2 putts, 2 hole-in-ones as well. So stay tuned. We will be announcing those winners here sometime this week. All right, let's talk a little bit more. Excuse me, a little bit more green and gold here this morning. The answer to your trivia question first. Let's ask Joe. Joe, our Tuesday pop quiz question: which college has produced the most first-round draft picks for the Packers? Got any guesses?
Oh, for the Packers, that's a good one. I'm going to say Georgia.
No, but good guess. Hey, it might happen again. You might get 4 in a row.
Well, I thought last year with 2 of them that might have bumped them up.
You got to go. It's actually a lot of people guess UCLA. It's not UCLA. Got to go across the border. Minnesota has 7 first-round picks.
So if I'm not mistaken, then I got to think about this, because if I'm not mistaken, the last Minnesota first-round pick for the Green Bay Packers probably would have been Thompson, the running back, correct?
Correct, in 1990. Yep, that was one of the that was a 19th overall pick. Do you remember the 18th pick right before that? It was also a Packers pick.
They went 1990. Was that Tony Bennett?
Very good. Look at you. You get a gold star for this morning. Nice.
So I didn't get the college right, but I was able to pull a couple of 1990 draft choices. So
yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, the majority happened in the 30s and the 40s there, with Curly Lambeau making those drafts for Minnesota, or for Minnesota players. So there you go. But yeah, Minnesota leading the way.
There you go. That's good trivia. Good trivia, Captain.
We've been kind of kick-starting some draft stuff, and you mentioned Georgia because we started talking some edge rushers here this morning with like Nolan Smith, and kind of just looking at a bunch of different edge rushers leading up to the draft. We're kind of calling it like 12 show days before the first round of the draft, because it's my play on 12 days of Christmas, but 12 show days until the first round of the draft here. So Nolan Smith or an edge rusher, Joseph, how would you be okay if Green Bay used a first-round pick on an edge rusher this year, or would you rather have them maybe address that depth a little bit later on?
No, I'd be fine with that. I think that is where that's one of the positions of needs for the Green Bay Packers, and I have my favorite is still the kid from Iowa, Van Ness, and so but you could go either way, all right. And I think when you look at that edge rush position, now it's really interesting, Captain, because one thing I've been starting to do is look a little bit more at these pre-draft visits under Goody, because it seems to hold a little bit more weight than it did under Ted Thompson. And the guy that I really like, who doesn't fit the norm for the Green Bay Packers, and I'm not talking as a first-round pick, but I love Will McDonald, the 4th from Iowa State. And this guy, when I say he doesn't fit the mold, he is more of that lean, quick guy coming off the edge that in my opinion, that can just create havoc from a left or right tackle standpoint. And so, I wouldn't mind it at all. And again, it depends on what the Packers get from the Jets. The more that I'm hearing, the more I think it's going to be one of those number 2s from the Jets. But they're, who knows? They might switch 13 and 15 and get both 2s. But I say Will McDonald, in my opinion, would be a guy in that second round that I would like to see. Another when you just look at the other pre-draft visits so far reported, they got Keon White from Georgia Tech. He's another outside linebacker, defensive line tweener, and then you've got Marte Mapu from Sacramento State safety linebacker. And so, you've got some guys, but I think Green Bay definitely has to go with an edge rush type of depth. Now here's the thing with Kingsley Enagbare. He was able to bring some depth out of last year's draft. So the question is, do you make that move in the first round, or do you make that edge rusher move in the second or third round just because there's other positions of need? But if the Packers went outside linebacker and edge rusher in that first round, I think that it wouldn't be bad at all if I'm a Packer fan.
Does a guy like Nolan Smith worry you a little bit because of his size? I mean, he's 6'2", listed at 240. Obviously, he lit up the combine with his sub 440, 430, 439, I think it was, for a 40-yard dash. But given his size, does that worry you coming from an edge rusher standpoint that he might be just a little too small?
No, I again, going back to it, I think it's the same as Will McDonald from Iowa State. I think if you've got a guy, when you look at edge rushers and you look at bookends, I think if you've got one guy that can bring the speed and one guy that can bring the power, and I go back to Rashawn Gary, and I think Rashawn Gary is going to recover from that ACL fine. So I don't see any long-term problems with it. You can mix and match. And right now, Preston Smith and Rashawn Gary, both similar edge rushers. All right, they're gonna bull rush you. They're speed around the corner. But if two guys on the field, and let's say it's Smith or it's McDonald and it's Gary or Preston Smith, then you've got some. Then all of a sudden you come out of your huddle, and the left tackle who was getting beat all day long by a power rush, all of a sudden now has to adapt. And so I think actually it would be smart for Green Bay to look at an edge rusher with a little bit more of that edge quickness around there. And when I look at guys like these speed guys coming off, I always go back to Bruce Irvin, who Seattle drafted, and just able to dip his shoulder and get around that edge so quickly that I think can create some havoc. So yeah, I think it'd be good to mix and match a little of that speed versus power. Because I think that would be the smart thing to do.
A lot of people have, maybe in the last couple of years, the last few years, have kind of criticized Green Bay's picks, and especially in the first round there, and said, well, Goody's kind of missed on a lot of them, maybe even Ted Thompson, that sort of thing. Pro Football Focus, I don't know if you saw this, but Pro Football Focus had an article up just a little bit ago, a few days ago, about the best teams selecting in the first round, or how well teams select in the first round. And Green Bay was listed as one of the best five teams in terms of who they selected with their first round picks. And as they know too, if Jordan Love is able to step in and fill the void left by Aaron Rodgers, the Packers will have, quote, nailed this run of first rounders. Would you agree with what Pro Football Focus is saying, or are you on the other side of the aisle that maybe their first round picks haven't hit as much as they should have?
Well, look, I think Jair Alexander, great pick. If Jordan Love turns into anything, that's going to be a great pick. Eric Stokes looked like, a good pick. Rashawn Gary looked like an excellent pick. Jury's still out on the two last year. I do think that people kind of generalize when they talk about good drafting GMs and bad drafting GMs. I think that they just say, well, he sucks or he hasn't done his job. So, and it's hit and miss. I mean, people forget that, Ron Wolf really missed it badly with Justin Harrell. And also, some would argue missed it badly with his first round pick ever for the Green Bay Packers, picking Terrell Buckley over Troy Vincent. And so I think Green Bay, when you look at the totality of it, if you will, I think they've hit more than they've missed, and I think that's probably the best way to look at it. Are you over? And again, knowing where Green Bay has drafted over the last 20 years, primarily in those 20 spots, I think again, yeah, I give Green Bay a more than passing grade with their first round picks. Mm-hmm. And so I would agree with Pro Football Focus. I think it's right in line where probably Green Bay should be.
Yeah, because their data goes back to 2014. So they started off kind of with 2015, and with that, it would include the 2016 overall number one overall or first round pick is Kenny Clark. Not a bad one over there either for Ted Thompson.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it's again, it's an inexact science, and everyone talks about Ron Wolf. And when you look at Ron Wolf and you compare him to Ted Thompson and compare him to Brian Gutekunst in a very, very short sample size, pretty similar. And look, going back to Gutekunst and with that Jordan Love pick, we all knew it at the time. That pick is going to define Brian Gutekunst's tenure. There's no ifs, ands, buts about it. And so if Jordan Love is an above average quarterback, and let's say, when I say above average, let's say he turns out over the next few years to be a top 10 NFL quarterback. Yeah, I think then definitely it slants in that way. Now look, if Jordan Love is a bust, and if Goody misses on this year's draft, because it seems to me that he did a pretty decent job with last year's draft, and at least in this short sample size. So yeah, I think more so than not, the Packers are in a good position from a draft standpoint.
Joe DeGuano joining us here this morning as we are getting closer and closer to the NFL draft coming up here. Joe, would you be disappointed if Green Bay doesn't get this trade done for Rodgers before the draft, and we won't get a pick until next year's draft?
You know what? I will to a certain degree. And will I be crushed? No. But will I, to a certain degree, say that, oh man, you missed an opportunity? This year's draft, when you look at picks 15 to 50, there is a lot of debate on who's a better player that drafted at 15 than at 45. And so I think this is, and again, next year's draft is supposed to be good too. I get it, but I think you're looking at this and you're saying, okay, if Green Bay can get another pick in that 15 to 45, and however that looks, I think this year would be an important year for Green Bay to get that pick. So yeah, would I be disappointed? Yes. Would I be crushed? No.
Joey, to kind of wrap things up, you posted a picture of an offensive lineman potentially, maybe a pick for Green Bay over there. Tell us why you think this kid from Tennessee, Mr. Wright, would be a nice little addition for Green Bay.
Yeah, Darnell Wright, offensive tackle out of Tennessee, and he's also a pre-draft visit of the Green Bay Packers. And again, starting to put a lot more stock into this when I look at Goody's track record. And so I look at this and I say, all right, let me dig deeper now into this guy's tape. And he's 6'6", 330. And one of the things I like that's coming out of the combine now, and this is a little different this year, is they're ranking players as far as production on the field, and they're doing it via position by position. And then they're looking at athleticism because, looks like Tarzan plays like Jane. And we've seen the disconnects over the year where the guy's production was maybe the 30th best player at that position, but his athleticism was third or fourth. And what I see with Wright, and I look at how they're ranking him, and I look at his film, so he is the fourth best production offensive tackle in this year's draft. All right. And then when I look at athleticism, he's the third best offensive tackle from an athleticism standpoint. So now you've got Tarzan off the field and Tarzan on the field. And this is a guy that, again, you're looking at that tackle depth. You're hoping David Bakhtiari that he's through the injuries. You still don't know really 100% what you have in Yosh Nijman on that right side. So there's a guy that, again, would I mind that pick in the first round? It's not a sexy pick. It's not going to create headlines, and Packer fans will bemoan that. But one way to make a young quarterback very, very comfortable is to make that pocket so secure that he's feeling safe back there to go through his progressions. And so, again, looking at these pre-draft visits, left tackle than a right tackle. And Wright is a kid that started off as a left tackle and playing right tackle, and he's a kid 6'6", 330, so he's got the bulk that you traditionally look at from that backside. So would that be a pick for Green Bay in the first round? It wouldn't surprise me at all, and I also would not be disappointed.
All right, he's Joe DeGuano. Appreciate the time as always, sir. Keep these draft analysis coming. We'll catch up with you again next week to learn a little bit more about another potential future Packer first round pick.
I tell you, brother, I'm excited. We're right there, and this is I think we're going to know on this Packer trade with the Jets, and this is a big draft for the Green Bay Packers this year. So excited that we're coming down to the final couple of weeks.
Me too, man. Me too. Well, you have a good rest of your week, and we'll catch up soon. Okay.
All right, Captain. Take care, brother.
You got it. There you go. There's Joe DeGuano joining us here this morning. We're going to take a quick break, and I'll throw this out to you all. What do you make of Pro Football Focus's article that was, I know it's a few days old here, but since we're talking a little draft here, what do you make of their pick that Green Bay was one of the 5 best teams going back to the 2015 draft? So starting in 2015, and I'll give you kind of a recap here of the first round picks. Do you think Green Bay has overall been a good drafting team for first round picks? Because I feel like maybe it's a louder bunch, have kind of said, nah, they've missed on quite a bit of first round picks. But Pro Football Focus says they're one of the 5 best. Now, if you read the article, I don't think they've ranked them, but if they did, then Green Bay's number 1 because they're the first team on here. But you got 2015, Demarius Randall. 2016, Kenny Clark, Jair Alexander, Rashawn Gary, Darnell Savage, Jordan Love, Eric Stokes, Quay Walker, Devontae Wyatt. Would you agree with Pro Football Focus or not? That they are one of the 5 best. The other teams, in case anybody's wondering, Carolina, Dallas, Detroit, and the Chargers. Think about that for a little bit, then hit me up with the text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, all right? Don't forget, it also is a Press Pass Tuesday. So for your Press Pass, if you could ask any member who's going to be at the Packers tailgate tour tonight, Aaron Jones, Romeo Dobbs, Elton Jenkins, Mark Murphy, Eddie Lacy, Devon House, Aha Clinton Dix, one question. You know you're going to get a truthful answer. What would that question be? Maybe I might have to steal it if I get a chance to ask some questions tonight. So text those babies on over too. We'll take a quick break and be back in just a couple minutes to finish up this second hour after these quick words. golfers, we know the courses are starting to open up or have already opened up in our area. So maybe you're getting a little, what the heck? Just there we go. A little weird pause there. Anyways, what I was saying was courses already opening up or have opened up. So getting ready for your golf game. You're maybe hitting up the driving range, putting greens, working on a short game and such. But don't forget, got to work on maybe your back and your neck and get loosened up, get the joints ready to go. And that's where Shepke Chiropractic can help you out. Just visit shepkechiropractic.com to learn more, to request an appointment, and to learn a little bit more about how they're a Titleist Performance Institute certified. That's right. They got, you've heard our conversations with Dr. Shepke, Logan Shepke, and where if you want to really kind of improve your golf game, they've got some golf packages where they work with a swing analysis, swing coach, and such. So it's really, really cool. Just go to shepkechiropractic.com to learn a little bit more, and maybe that can help you crack 80, break 80 for the first time in your life, or maybe even starting off a little bit small, maybe breaking 90 or something like that. But again, visit shepkechiropractic.com now that we are getting into golf season, and find out how they can actually help improve your golf game. We got about 9 minutes to the top here. So looking at that Pro Football Focus article, right? Looking at that thing. We went through the picks. It goes back to 2015. That was the draft I was at in Chicago, and I remember when the Packers pick came up. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, okay, maybe a little versatility, safety corner sort of thing, Demarius Randall. But I think because I've been here, and I feel like it's kind of been a narrative for the last couple of years or such. But maybe it's just the loud majority. It's not necessarily the majority. But there's been a lot of criticism surrounding the Packers' first-round picks in the last, if we go back to, let's say, 2015 and such. And I get it in a sense that, you're hyper-focused and just focusing straight up on the Packers pick. You're not really maybe looking at other teams' first-round picks and kind of doing a comparison, that way. But it was the other day. I wish I remember what year it was. It might actually, was it the 2015 one? No, I don't think it was a 2015 one. But I was looking at a draft, and it was like 2000 something. Isn't it teens? But I think like the first 10 picks just stunk. Like those players, no offense, but those players, they weren't first round picks. They weren't even top 10 picks. So like what their career said. I mean, it wasn't good. It was not a good draft. And I think when we kind of look at these first round picks and try to and the thing is for Green Bay too, we don't know what Quay Walker and Jair or Quay Walker and Devontae Wyatt are going to be, right? We don't know what they're going to be, and if Jordan Love doesn't pan out to be a starting quarterback in the next couple years, then Green Bay's probably not in the top 5. Let's be real, they're probably not. In the top 5 here. And we'll see what Walker and Wyatt develop into. But I think when we look at, this pick stunk for Green Bay as a first-round pick and such, you got to compare the other teams here too. Other teams stunk as well. What Sam here wrote for Pro Football Focus, Green Bay has had little in the way of true whiffs over this time period. Demarius Randall never quite became the player he was supposed to be, but still played over 600 snaps per year at multiple positions for 3 seasons while they tried to understand what spot best suited his game. Jair Alexander has become one of the best corners in the game, while Rashawn Gary has done the same thing, same among edge rushers after a slow start. If Jordan Love is able to step into the void left whenever Aaron Rodgers eventually departs and looks like a capable starter, the Packers will have nailed this run of first rounders. And again, goes back to 2015, Demarius Randall, Kenny Clark, Jair, Rashawn, Savage, Jordan Love, Eric Stokes, Quay Walker, and Devontae Wyatt. But, I know we're very hard on our own teams and our local teams and and really hyper focused on that. And but I think when you kind of compare it to maybe the other 31 teams and notice some of their poo-poo picks, maybe not as bad. For what it's worth, the worst 5 were the Raiders. Amari Cooper, going back to 2015, Amari Cooper, Carl Joseph, Garyon Conley, remember him? Colton Miller, this 2019 draft, who Josh Jacobs actually was pretty good. But remember when they drafted Cillian Farrell first, and then Jonathan Abram? And they had the 3 first-rounders. Henry Ruggs III, Arnett, and then last year, Alex Leatherwood. We got Patriots, for Bill Belichick. You look at some of his drafts, and you're like, kind of scratching your head over the years. Seattle, John Schneider, former Packer guy, listed on here as one of the 5 worst. Chicago Bears, got Kevin White, Leonard Floyd, Mitchell Trubisky, Roquan Smith, Justin Fields. Arizona Cardinals also listed on there too. So I think when you compare it to other teams, Packers fans, maybe not as bad. Now, if somebody wants to do a comparison of third-round picks, then I don't think Green Bay would probably be in the top 5 there. As, for whatever reason, third-round picks for the Packers have just been, like, what do you want to call it? Like, they're bugaboo. Like, let me bring it up here. I think the last third-round pick that might have worked out was Morgan Burnett. Let me see if I can bring this up in time here. Here we go, all-time draft here. So let's start. Yeah, let's kind of work our way back here. Okay, so 20 this past year, Surveyor Sam's guy, Sean Ryan, got suspended. Only appeared in 1 game anyways, offensive lineman from UCLA. Then in 2021, Amari Rogers, well, we know the answer to that one. 2020, Josiah DeGuara. 2019 was Jay Sternberger. 2018 was Orrin Burks. 2017 was Montravius Adams. 2016, Kyler Fackrell. 2015, Ty Montgomery. 2014 was Kyrie Thornton and Richard Rodgers. They made the catch for the Hail Mary in Detroit. 2013, they did not have one. 2012, they did not have one. 2011 was the running back Alex Green. Yeah, 2010 was Morgan Burnett. So, I mean, do we have to go back to 2010 to where Green Bay hit on a third-round pick? For crying out loud. 2009, they didn't have one. 2008 was Jermichael Finley. 2007, James Jones. Okay, and then Aaron Rouse. Remember the big safety? 2006, Jason Spitz, Abdul Hodge. 2005, they didn't have one. 2004, Joey Thomas. Remember the defensive back? He was, because Ahmad Carroll was the first-round pick, then Joey Thomas, then Donnell Washington. 2003, Kenny Peterson. Marcus Anderson, 2002. I mean, this just goes back even further. Baoju, remember Baoju from Penn State? Third-round pick in 2001. Steve Warren in 2000. Mike McKenzie in 1999. Clydius Hunt, okay, 1999. I guess 1999, not too shabby with those two. But holy moly, for whatever reason, if we keep going down this list for third-round picks, it doesn't get any better. Brett Conway was a third-round pick for a kicker. Nah, that was in 97. Mike Flanagan, Tyrone Williams in 96. Oh. William Henderson, Brian Williams, Antonio Freeman, and Darius Holland. 95 might have been finally the year in third round. That was where they had 1, 2, 3, 4 third-round picks. Their first overall, or their first-round pick that year was Craig Newsome. But Darius Holland, William Henderson, stud. Brian Williams, underrated linebacker. Antonio Freeman, you know the rest. So, but yeah, as of late, third-rounders, not good. And I love day 2 picks. I love second and third. I love the second and third round of the draft. But Green Bay, whatever reason, just not good. Second rounders, Christian Watson, Josh Myers, A.J. Dillon, Elton Jenkins, good one. Josh Jackson, not a good one. Josh Jones, Jason Spriggs, nope. Quentin Rollins, nope. Devontae, yeah, he was decent. Eddie Lacy, pretty good. Draw Worthy, nope. Casey Hayward, good. Randall Cobb, good. Mike Neal, nope. Brian Brom, no. Pat Lee, meh. So kind of 50-50 there, second rounders. All right. 2 in. We got one more to go. We'll kick off the third hour talking with our good friends from the Chip with Steel, the playoff clinching Chip with Steel. They got a couple more home games left to wrap up their regular season. Then we'll catch up with RJ Cardinal from the Zone in Madison. All coming up after these quick news updates. All right, third hour kicking off on this Tuesday morning. Hopefully, you're all off to a fantastic start here. We'll get back to some more of your comments on the Shoe Doctors bullpen line coming up a little bit later on. We've got RJ Cardinal coming up towards the bottom of the hour here. Talk all things Badgers with him. We'll talk a little bit more about Brewers game 2 against the Diamondbacks. Corbin Burns on the mound tonight. We'll see if he can bounce back from a rough first couple games of the season for him. So his third time through the rotation. But we lead things off here on this Tuesday, like we usually do, catching up with our good friends from the playoff bound Chippewa Steel. Coach Casey back from Alaska over there too. How you doing, bud?
Morning.
Congratulations, first and foremost.
Thank you.
Got a spot clinched up. So I know Kyle was in last week, and he was kind of talking like it's looking like it's going to happen. It wasn't official yet, but you got her done.
Yeah, got it done Saturday night in Fairbanks with a win, and it was nice to take care of business and get that spot secured, and one more week of regular season games, so we can kind of rest a little bit and recover, knowing that these games, it depends how we do for who we play, but we know we're either going to Eagle River or Cloquet for the Wilderness, so the most important thing now for us is to rest and be healthy for first weekend.
So you kind of mentioned there, what is the mindset or what is the game plan to prepare for these games? Because, I mean, it's still a little bit of uncertainty on who you play. And one of those teams you might play is actually who you're playing this weekend too. So how do you approach that?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, we've got a bunch of, affiliate guys in town. I think, like I said, the most important thing for us is to be healthy. We'll give some guys some games off and just make sure that we're ready to go for the following weekend. I mean, nothing really. This weekend doesn't really matter. I mean, I'm not really too worried about. We're gonna have to beat both of them at some point potentially. So, where you go first, I don't think it really matters. We'll see. I mean, we're gonna give it our best effort and try and finish in third place. And but like I said, I think the most important thing for us is giving some guys some rest, some guys who have played a lot of games for us, and log some minutes, and they're going to have to continue to do that as we move forward. So take advantage of this kind of light week, I guess.
And that was kind of something I know, leading up before you left for Alaska, you were kind of hinting or talking about was you'd like to be in a position maybe heading into this final week where you maybe a little relaxed and a little less stressful at that point. Would you say you accomplished that now?
Yeah,
at this point?
I think so. I mean, obviously we had 4 games to get a total of 1 point. Which the way we've been playing, you think would have been fairly easy to do, but I mean, coming down to the last 2 games of the season, you don't want to have that pressure and that stress, especially with that travel coming home. So it was awesome. Our boys played great Saturday night. They had the coaching change up there in Fairbanks, so I knew Friday they would come out with some juice, and the building was crazy, and it's a tough place to play, to go up there and raucous crowd, and that's a 4th time we've been up there as myself with the Steel, and it's our 4th winning Alaska trip, so we're pretty proud of that. It's hard to go up there and win, and I mean, taking care of business like that in their building, team that's had a lot of success to be able to punch our ticket and end their season was something we talked a lot about, and we're really happy with how we played.
So the first time in franchise history, you guys would be going to the postseason. We're kind of where you look back, and I mean, it's only been a couple of years here for you. Last year, you get hired, and it's like hit the ground running right away. You didn't really have time to kind of get your feet wet. I mean, because you were fully immersed
for sure
at that point. And now your first kind of normal season, would you kind of call it? Leading into an off season in this, and now you're in the postseason. When you kind of look back at everything right now, I know you still got a lot to play for, but it's kind of been a crazy year plus.
For sure.
For you right now.
No, it's been crazy, but in a good way. I mean, it's it's so unbelievable to see the growth that we've had and just the growth in the following and the fan base. I mean, that to me is, I'm just really excited for our players to be able to get some playoff hockey in and the community. It's just the last few homestands that we've had, you can kind of feel it building and feel the buzz coming on, and now that we're able to bring some playoff games here is just so exciting. And yeah, I mean, it's it's a long season, and
Yeah.
I think it's a huge accomplishment for us to be able to get in the playoffs. And now it's season number 2, and wipe the slate clean, and here we go again. So it's really exciting. I feel really good about our team and where we're at, and some of these guys, their growth and maturity and development, and some of the younger guys, the high school guys that we've added as well, bringing some elements to our team. So yeah, it's really exciting, and really looking forward to it.
So when you kind of look getting ready for the postseason and such, you mentioned it, wiping the slate clean. Is that kind of how you're approaching this? Like, records don't matter anymore. What we've done in the regular, we hear this a lot in different sports. It's like, it's a brand new season. Just get in the dance and anything
That's
can
right,
happen,
yeah.
sort of thing.
Yeah.
Is that kind of the mindset you guys are taking?
Yeah,
with this
I think
too?
so. I mean, I think, again, it doesn't matter. We've got guys who have had unbelievable offensive seasons. Sam Rice, Nielsen, those guys have really carried a load for us this year. And some other guys maybe that haven't had as much offensive success as they maybe would have hoped or whatnot. And again, it's, playoff opportunity to, reset and restart, and again, it doesn't matter if you had 50 goals or you had 0 goals. Everyone's back to 0 right now. So you hear that a lot about guys, especially in the NHL playoffs, that maybe didn't have the best seasons, have a chance once they get into the playoffs to really kind of change the tune of their year, as a whole. And it's going to be more intense and higher stress, and for guys to be able to come in and maybe contribute a little bit more than they did in the regular season. That's what we're looking for. And yeah, it's the only way I think you can kind of go about it. You gotta reset and start clean.
Now, Kyle was kind of explaining last week what the playoff structure looked like, and it's a little different, isn't it? Like, is it best of 5 for the first round, or
first 2 rounds
Yeah.
are best of 5, and then that'll lead to 4 division winners going to the Robertson Cup, which is in Blaine. And that'll be the semifinals with the 4 teams will be a best of 3.
Okay.
And then the final is just 1 game.
Just one game.
Yeah, it's
so it kind of goes a little like 5-5-3-1 essentially.
correct.
Okay.
Yep. And I think the league has done a really nice job of turning the Robertson Cup into an event. It's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, off Monday, final game Tuesday. Highly attended, highly scouted. When the final game is going to be, right? When the trophy is going to be presented. I think the thought process is you have the best of 5s. You're hopefully going to get the best team to come out of each division, with the more games. And then again, best of 3, and then, 1 game, anything can happen. So yeah, it's a little odd, but the event is great. The Robertson Cup is awesome. And yeah, it's a long ways away from there right now, but yeah, it's a unique format, but I think it overall it helps get what they want in getting the best teams to the final, and also being able to make it an event. The final game, everybody knows the trophy will be presented, and yeah, it makes it a little bit more predictable, but also really fun, and like I said, highly attended.
So what was the, like, when did you guys find out that you had clinched? Was it right after like when you
Yeah, I
won
mean,
one game,
we knew.
Did you have time to celebrate or anything like that at
Yeah,
that point?
yeah. Well, we knew after Friday night with Kenai winning against Anchorage that 1 point anywhere from here on out would have locked us in. So we knew that going into Saturday. It was talked about. Again, I'm not afraid to talk about that stuff with our guys, and I want them to understand what's at stake. It's not supposed to be, we're not trying to scare them or make them nervous. We just want them to understand what's in front of them, and what they've what the right that they've earned, you know, to clinch a playoff spot in this game tonight. And we talked about going up there and you know, this might sound a little crash, but I mean, we talked about going up there and ending seasons. Like that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to go up there and end some seasons and clinch our ticket. And you know, we were able to do that. And we had a little celebration in the locker room after the game, you know, with the water showers from the boys and coach and I, and it was awesome. Just a really special experience for myself and coach and the team. But yeah, again, you know, we talked about enjoying it over the off days and, you know, kind of resetting and coming back to work today and you know, looking to continue to get better.
So, you know, this might be me overthinking this here a little bit, but you know, with that, you know, you got it out of the way, that sort of thing. Does that almost kind of like a good thing too, that you do have a couple more games for the regular season? Because, you know, I think we've seen it sometimes in other sports where a team clinches it maybe in the final game or the final series, and they have these wave of emotions, but then they kind of come out flat, you know, in the postseason sort of thing. Is that something that's kind of crossed your mind? Or maybe, again, it's me overthinking it where it's like, hey, they still got a couple more games to go.
Yeah.
You know, sort of thing. The wave of emotions kind of play with it sort of thing. And then you can refocus.
Yeah. I think there's, you know, there's a balance, right? I think you want to clinch as early as possible, but I don't think you want to be playing a whole bunch of games where, you know, you're kind of off the throttle a little bit. And then I think, you know, going the other way too, having to kind of play your butts off through the last game of the regular season. And then, you know, you go through, like you said, that emotion of making it. And now you have to like re-ramp it up, you know, again, the next weekend, I think is difficult as well. So, would I have liked to have clinched earlier? I mean, obviously, but, I think this is kind of a perfect timeline for us as far as, you know, again, getting healthy, having a couple more games for some guys to get some play that haven't maybe played as much over the last few weeks, to get them back in the mix and, you know, give some other guys some rest. And then again, here we go. It's playoff time and we can ramp it up. So I do think it's a nice timeline for us moving forward.
Do you anticipate heading into this final 2 games at home, by the way? So get on over there. It's got appreciation nights coming up too, and $2 beer night. I mean, come on now, load up on that thing. From a coaching standpoint, and I got to imagine they're probably on the other side, maybe with a similar mindset as you guys here a little bit, because you guys might be facing each other, you know, in the postseason. But how much can you take from a scouting standpoint in a series like this? I know you guys have played quite a bit already throughout the regular season, but with the uniqueness of this, do you really take anything away from it? Because is it almost like a game of chess in an instance where you don't know how much you can actually, what you see, you don't know how much you can actually anticipate for a postseason matchup?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think we'll probably try some new things, maybe some different power play stuff. And, you know, we don't want to get away from what we're trying to do entirely. But again, if we're going to rest some guys, you know, some of those higher point total guys, give some other guys some opportunity on the power play and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how much you can change in a weekend to, again, you said it. We know each other pretty well. We know who each other's guys are. There's not a whole lot of secrets. I don't think you're going to take something that you see this weekend and expect to see it maybe the following weekend. So yeah, I mean, I think it's just, you know, for us and them is play and have the games go smooth and healthy and get through it. And again, we might see them in a few weeks. We might not, but I think we both have aspirations to keep playing and expect to potentially see each other at some point. Right. But yeah, I just don't know how much this weekend is really you're going to learn anything you don't already know.
How much, what's a bigger factor, do you think, when it comes to making a postseason run? Is it health or momentum?
I mean, it's probably a combination of both, right? Like, it's not, you know, it's a 5-game series, so it's more than just 1 or 2 nights of, you know, playing and getting some bounces. I think obviously health is always a factor in playoffs. Yeah, I mean, I think it's, you know, they always say that, you know, the series doesn't start till you win on the road, but you know, you really have, you know, it's one set at home, one set on the road, and then that last, for us, it'll be another road game. So if you can come out there and jump a team right away, game 1 or game 2, you all of a sudden have home ice and go from there. It's hard. We've played the Wilderness a lot this year. I don't know if anybody's won 2 games in a row all year. So we're going to have to do that at some point to, to get this thing done if we do play them. So
even if you play the Wendigo, I mean, your last series against them,
yeah,
that has to give you a lot of I know they're the number 1 team in your division, but the way you guys played against them, splitting and then making that comeback,
yeah,
that's going to give you guys a lot of confidence if you do end up facing those guys.
Yeah,
too.
I mean, I we've had success against both teams. We've had success against everyone. We've had some struggles against everybody. So, I have said it before. I do think that Wendigo rink is a little troubling at times. But it is what it is. At this point, we've played there 4 times. You got to find a way to figure it out. And we've had a lot more success against them here than we have there. So again, that's going to have to change. So yeah, it'll be interesting for us. I think we're in a great spot because we know we're either going to, Cloquet or Eagle River. Those 2 teams, have the potential to be going to Alaska, which I don't know how thrilled either of them are about that. So, we're going to finish in 3rd or 4th, but I think, we'd rather be kind of where we are, knowing that it's, Cloquet or Eagle River versus what they're thinking about over there. So,
yeah.
It all plays into it. All the factors that go into this playoff round and having these Alaska teams. And again, we feel confident in our group with whoever we play.
So, got to ask you this too, since you obviously, I think every time I've talked to you, you've mentioned this. You weren't shy away from talking about going to the playoffs. Scoreboard watching and all that sort of thing. Now you're in it. Do you change? Is the message the same? Is the how do you approach the weeks going into the games? I know it's not postseason time this weekend, but I got to imagine you've probably started to thought about it a little bit. Do you change anything up, or do you stay with the path that you've been doing
I think the path stays the same. You can't, in the length of the regular season, right? I mean, you want to have short-term goals, and I think it's important to have the long-term goal of making the playoffs. I think in the playoffs now, it's more, really just focusing on the next game, and finding a way to get the 3 wins before somebody else does, and that's really all you can worry about and control. I mean, at this point, we know what the goal is, right? We know where we want to be, but I think the focus can really get narrowed down and pinpointed on, what's in front of you directly. You can't worry about anything else at this point. Like I said, in the expanse of what that long 60-game regular season is, I think it is nice to have one eye on the near future and one eye on, the big picture. But now with the, playing, your season could be over in 3 games. I think you have to turn your full undivided attention to that. And then, we know what happens if we win 6 games, right? So I don't think we need to talk about it any much more. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a little bit of a different formula, but I think it's what's called for at this time. You really want to be dialed in and giving your opponent your full attention for the next, 5 games per se.
Right. So this weekend wraps up. You got $2 beer night, the first night up, and then the final home game and final regular season game, the fan appreciation and billet family appreciation.
Yeah, it's a great night. We get to recognize and thank our billets. I mean, we're not able to do this without them, and it's incredible how they just are able to open their homes to us. And, it's funny. We get back on Sunday and we clinched, and we have a player, Cam Davis, is from Pittsburgh and has been out a few times, and, has really kind of told us, hey, if I'm able to come out and play, like, let me know and I'll be out there. And, we asked him on Sunday if he can come out. He said, yeah. I just said, okay, let me make sure we got a billet. We call her billet director, Melissa, and she makes one call and then boom, set up. And he's,
nice.
He's on his way out here. Right. So it's just, makes our job really easy to be able to bring guys in like this on on a whim, and allows us to get guys in here to help us now and help them for next year. Shorten the learning curve. So it's
Can't
incredible.
have a team without them.
No, we don't. No, we don't exist. We don't exist without them. And we try and tell them that as much as we can. I wish we could show them a little bit more love, but that's Saturday night. We'll give them all their respect and their dues. And it's an incredible community that we're in right now, and we're really, really lucky for that.
Outside of I think you guys and the players, they're probably the next most excited about your playoff.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
playoff
I think,
clinching here too. So
yeah, it's been a what, 5 years? I mean, so I know that one COVID year they had a great year, and were unable to actually play the playoff games.
Right.
But yeah, this is it's exciting for us to be able to give that to them, and really, really looking forward to seeing what it looks like there this weekend, and then in a couple weeks, I think it's going to be a pretty awesome scene in there.
It's going to be rocking.
Yeah,
I can imagine. So we'll do it again. Congratulations.
Yeah,
I know we've
you.
been talking about it a long time, getting closer, and then you got her done. In Alaska.
It's awesome. We're really happy for the organization, the players, and like I said, all the support throughout the year has been great, and hopefully we can come in here a bunch more Tuesdays and keep talking,
keep it rolling
while we play.
Exactly. Well, dude, appreciate you stopping by, and can't wait to catch up with you. I know we got games this weekend, but catch up again next Tuesday. Then you'll know who you play, and the intensity, I can imagine, is probably gonna
it's gonna go up a
little bit more. So
can back it off a little bit this week, because it'll get intense moving forward. So
absolutely.
It's good.
So, well, Coach Casey, appreciate you stopping by, and we'll catch up soon. You got
Appreciate it.
We're gonna take a quick break, and RJ Cardinal, he's coming up next after these few words. All right, let's just jump into it. Let's bring in our good buddy, Mr. RJ Cardinal, our Badger analyst from the Zone in Madison. And RJ, I want to talk a little bit more men's hockey. I was actually talking with Coach Casey here from the Steel off the air before he left, and he was asking what you thought of the Mike Hastings hiring and such. And then, the news that he's bringing his associate head coach Todd Knott, who could have had the head coaching job at Minnesota State, but he decides to follow Hastings over here to Minnesota. And Coach Casey here said that's a big time move for Wisconsin. So he's a really good recruiter. I mean, that's got to be a home run for Wisconsin. It sounds like to have Hastings bring his right hand man over with him to Madison.
Yeah, and we talked about it last week. I do like the Hastings hire. It's a guy who has proven himself. I mean, 8 NCAA tournament appearances since becoming the head coach at Minnesota State Mankato.
Mm-hmm.
It's an amazing track record. Every level Hastings has been on, he's been a proven winner. Then is it not or Knott? I've heard it both ways now.
Yeah, I've heard it both ways too. So we'll just call him Todd.
But yeah,
Coach Todd.
So bringing his number one guy over, and yeah, he was offered the position with the Mavericks, but turned it down. He also would be making a rather large pay raise from being the head coach there to being the top assistant coach here. But everything I'm reading, he has had the same kind of success at the programs he's been to on all sorts of different levels. So it's one of those guys who is a winner as well. The way they talk about each other in Hastings and not, they seem to be in line in everything from hockey player development, both on and off the ice, and as well as them on and off the ice are like just in alignment. And bringing in your top assistant, who is regarded as one of the top, if not the top recruiter and identifier of talent currently in the college hockey ranks. I think it's another one of those where you have to like what you're seeing out of the Hastings hire and what he's bringing. It'll be interesting to see who they round out their staff with. I think Andy Brandt is still there as an assistant coach. Whether they retain him or not for maybe some continuity, I don't know. Haven't really heard anything on that front. But bringing in one of the most respected recruiters in the nation doesn't hurt. And he dives into the USHL. He is just, from interviews and other articles I've been reading since yesterday when the hire was announced, he just can identify talent at almost every level, and that's with the portal, that's with the USHL, that's in high school hockey, that's also in international hockey. And Hastings even talked about that. He was talking about how at Mankato it was able to be, hey, we're looking nationally at what we need to pull in. Here at Wisconsin, we have the resources to go internationally. So it'll be interesting to see that kind of transition even for them. And they've talked about even having the uplift in talent that they're seeing in the guys they're trying to keep here at Wisconsin in the recruiting class coming in, and that's currently on the roster. And not saying the guys he's leaving weren't good. I mean, the team he had back-to-back Frozen Fours and a national championship appearance. So, I mean, those guys are good, but he's talking about moving to Wisconsin where his resources are going to be greater, to the fact where he can recruit off a name, and people still recognize Wisconsin as being a blue blood in college hockey, even though they've had some lean years as of late. So it'll be interesting to see how it works out. But so far, these two hires seem to be hopefully having the hockey program back in the right direction.
Yeah, you mentioned it. I know Coach Casey kind of mentioned it too. Just hearing you, the balance of these recruits, like you mentioned, USHL and high school recruits. There's going to be maybe more of that balance with this group too.
Yeah, and when you can get more guys who are going to end up staying 3 to 4 years, but it's not because they have to. It's because they're talented. They're just maybe not NHL talent. Whereas I think Wisconsin, it seems some of the guys they have had stayed at 3 to 4 years are necessarily there because there might not be some other opportunities as of late. And then when you lose the talent that you do have, and some of it wasn't expected, you tend to scrounge and struggle to find something to come replace it. And so that's, I think recruiting has been where, some of the stuff has dropped off, because you have high-end talent and then you have some talent that maybe you should be playing elsewhere. And that's just from me. I don't dive too hard into the college hockey recruiting, so I'm not sure where some of these other guys got offers to go, but you're getting some guys who have now decommitted from other programs who have switched to Wisconsin in this 11-person class that should be coming in. I haven't heard of anybody asking for their release yet, so hopefully this class is still coming in. But yeah, it'll be real interesting to see how this roster is going to start shaping up moving forward, with the different levels of talent, and only by levels. I mean, you have USHL, you have Canadian major juniors and high school, not necessarily, levels of talent in terms of, are they superstars or are they just, hey, we need to fill out a roster spot.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing one of those where you can remember a guy's name for a couple more seasons than just, oh yeah, that's an NHL guy. He's going to be gone in 1 to 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Right. RJ Cardinal, Badger analyst, joining us this morning, transitioning over a little bit to the football side of things. I know we, kind of wrapping up some spring, or through 7 spring practices right now, I think.
Yep. And number 8's this morning.
Okay.
So yeah.
Anything kind of standing out to you since last time we talked? I was reading a little bit last couple days, and I know everybody's kind of talking about with the air raid offense, but one thing I was reading too was it still seems like they're committed to running the football with Chez Malusi and Braylon Allen, and why wouldn't you be?
Yeah, and they absolutely will be. I mean, 2 seasons ago at North Carolina, they had 2 1,000-yard rushers.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if you have that kind of ability, why would you take the ball out of those guys' hands? If Malusi can stay healthy, you definitely have a shot to do it. I think it really takes away the wear and tear on Braylon Allen, because, near the end of the year, last year and his freshman year, we did see a little bit of a slowdown in production. But, I mean, when you're the guy and 1B is no longer available, and I think we saw last year at least some distrust in the rest of the running back room outside of Garendo, it gets pretty hard to continue that kind of season and with those kind of touches. So maybe a little less touches this year, but if both of them are healthy, and if you can get a game plan where you can get yards on the ground, you're absolutely going to do it. This past week in practice, they kind of were starting to install 4 wide receiver sets. So there is that coming. That'll look nifty on the field for Wisconsin. But yeah, it's one of those, it will be a drastic change in offensive formations, maybe not necessarily the drastic change to the air raid that people think it will be. I think it is more of an air raid in name, because it uses a lot of the air raid principles, but still heavily relies on having good running backs to be able to open things up for not just, the running backs, but for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Sticking with football, I know we're getting a little bit closer and closer to the draft here, and I kind of want to pick a player each time I talk to you leading up to this and kind of get your thoughts on it. And the first player I wanted to ask you about was Mr. Keanu Benton, kind of been hearing his name a little bit more, especially was it Senior Bowl when he was kind of making some more plays over there. Do you think he's a guy that could play both in a 4-3, 3-4 defense, or is he better suited for one or the other, in your opinion?
Well, I'm one of the people who look at him and see a lot more athleticism than the scores might show you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's a top 10 defensive tackle, so and you know what? Depending on what site you're looking at, he's a top 5 defensive tackle. I think he'll probably be suited better as a tackle, but I mean, if you're putting him on the edge in a 3-4, I think he'll be very capable. More as of a hey, get to the quarterback kind of guy. And even at Wisconsin, we did see him not always play nose tackle, and he was able to get in the backfield. That's another thing I saw as a weakness, that people said he doesn't have a push and can't get to the backfield on pass plays, and it's just he lacks the get off, and it's one of those where I think it turns back into one of those it's a Wisconsin player kind of mentality, and it appears to now be spreading to every position outside of offensive line.
Do you think he's like a second or third round? I've seen him mostly, I think, like a pick third round there, but I mean, after the senior rocketing up there a little bit more, I thought I actually saw a mock draft. He kind of squeaked in maybe at the back end of the first round. I could be wrong on that, but seems like maybe more of a day 2
I
pick.
think you're right. I think I've seen a mock draft where he has made it to that back end there, but I would probably lean more day 2, somewhere in the second or third round.
Yeah, interesting. So, okay, before I let you go, RJ, I know a lot of people are kind of still anxiously curious to see, what kind of stuff Greg Gard's going to be doing in the transfer portal and such. Have you heard of anything? Have you seen anything anywhere about some potential targets? I know the other day I was looking at some players, but or an article on some potential targets and such. But on your side of things, have you heard anything down there about some rumors or anything?
Not really, because he still needs people to leave the program first.
Do you like the fact that Tyler Wall's coming back for a 5th year?
I do. And for the sole fact that it brings some consistency there. Whether you think he is a bad player or not, if you think he's a bad player, you're wrong. Is he the greatest Badger in the world? No. But it's one thing, hopefully, in this offseason, he can develop a jump shot and work a little harder at the free throw line. Other than that, he had an ankle injury that, kept him out for 4 or 5 games, or maybe 3. But still, it takes a while to trust your ankle again. And I think near the end of the season, we saw him doing that. But yeah, still lacks that little jumper from mid-range that we've seen a lot of Badger big men be able to do instead of just keep driving to the hoop. But I like him staying. There's a lot of other guys on this roster don't need to be here. And I mean, at some point, Greg Gard's got to have a talk with them and say, leave. Yeah.
Can he revoke their scholarship as a way to cut them? Are they can they? I'm thinking like NFL or basketball or NBA where you cut a player. Can they do something like that for college kids? Something similar?
I mean, you can, but you don't want to be the first head coach to really be known for that. Yeah. To say, oh, yeah, he didn't really give me a chance. I didn't even get minutes, and he told me to leave the program. There's probably been coaches out there who highly suggest maybe you go looking somewhere else, but it needs to happen first before Wisconsin can add anybody else. They had a couple kids with Wisconsin ties. The kid from Southern Illinois is transferring to Illinois, and then the freshman from Wofford I saw either late last night or early this morning committed to transfer to Iowa State. So some of these guys are going to be getting picked up. Well, Wisconsin's waiting for some people to enter the transfer portal before they can start adding other people to their their roster. I don't know if you can, bring in people and still have people on your roster. But it seems like we're in a wait and see kind of position now. And two of the guys that were on a top 5 list, well, 3, one of them is with Wisconsin now, and 2 of them are ended up at other schools.
Interesting. All right, RJ. Hey, appreciate the time as always, buddy. Next week we'll talk a little bit more about some potential draft prospects for the Badgers and such. But you have a good weekend. Hey, let's catch up again next week, okay, bud?
Absolutely. We will see you then.
You got it. There you go. There's RJ Cardinal, Badger analyst, joining us as always every Tuesday morning. We got to take our final break, and then we'll wrap things up on this Tuesday morning. All right, covering the bases. Coming up after these few words. wrapping things up here this morning. Big thanks to everybody tuning in and chiming in. Another text to grind my gears. This one's been we chatted about this a little bit earlier, but home plate umpire last night. Strike zone was a mile wide. Many strikes missed the box by 3 inches. We kind of chatted a little bit about that earlier. No doubt about it. Brewers had some frustrations with it too. Went through some of the quotes from counsel and such, but Brewers will try again tonight at 8:40 against the Diamondbacks with Corbin Burns on the mound. Majority of you, and I totally get it, and I'd probably agree with you, but the majority of you saying that if Burns struggles again tonight, you're going to be pretty concerned about Corbin Burns and his start to the season. Opening day, struggled a little bit there. Mets gave up 6 runs. We'll see what Corbin has in store for the Brew Crew tonight. So again, first pitch is going to be another late one, 8:40. You can catch it on 105.1 FM and 790 AM. Hoops action also tonight. We got some of the play-in games as the play-in tournament begins tonight. Got Atlanta, Miami, T-Wolves, and Lakers. Looks like the T-Wolves, by the way, for any Timberwolves fans who may be listening, Rudy Gobert suspended for the Wolves suspended him for the playing game against the Lakers. WNBA, Aaliyah Boston, number 1 overall pick, going to the Indiana Fever, and Diamond Miller, 2nd overall pick, going to the Minnesota Lynx. So WNBA draft went down last night. See Cliff Kingsbury. Remember a few years ago, he was hired as the USC offensive coordinator. Then like a couple of days later or so, whatever the heck it was a new head coach for the Arizona Cardinals. Well, he's back at USC now being, they're calling it an offensive analyst. So I'm assuming he'll be working with Caleb Williams, a quarterback over there and such mostly, but he's going over to USC now. So what else do we got that we chat a little bit about? Obviously, we kind of started to kick off our little bit of draft talk here. We it's a dumb name, but what else can we say here? We got the 12 show days of first-round draft picks for the Packers, highlighting a couple to a few draft picks each day leading up into the first round, which is on April 27th. Today, we looked at a couple of edge rushers, Miles Murphy, Nolan Smith, and Lucas Van Ness. So we looked at those guys over there. Just saw this pop up. I was kind of wondering what it was like yesterday. CBS says Sunday's broadcast of the Masters was the most watched round on any network in 5 years. Think about that. And this Sunday, without Tiger in contention, was the most watched round on any network in 5 years, averaging $12.058 million. All right. They shot up. And again, I think it kind of goes back to what we were saying a little bit yesterday. The talent in golf is really good right now. The parity is really good in golf. The only question I had was, what's the ratings going to be like? Well, Masters proved it. Ratings good. Pretty darn solid. So they proved me wrong there. But I think it's just because it's so good right now. You got a bunch of really good players in this. All right. Let's interesting. All right. Let's tonight too, don't forget, it is the Packers tailgate tour. Been seeing some pictures up on social media being posted as the Packers are getting ready to leave Lambeau on the bus. Eddie Lacy looks fit. I saw one picture of him. He looks fit. He looks like he could be running the rock at Lambeau Field right now. He's looking good. But tonight we'll be there helping MC and such, 6 p.m. to 7:30. Got some auctions going on as well. Aaron Jones is going to be there. Romeo Dobbs, Elton Jenkins, Eddie Lacy, Devon House, HaHa Clinton Dix, and Mark Murphy. So Should be a lot of fun tonight. Hopefully we'll see you there. Hopefully my voice will last until about 7:30 tonight. So, but if you got nothing planned, I believe they're still selling some tickets at the door at the Lismore in downtown Eau Claire. Coming up tomorrow, we'll do a little bit more showdown, continuing our second round matchup there. We'll recap the Brewers and Diamondbacks game, see how Corbin Burns performed. We'll see if we're panicking or we're good. So we'll hit that up for sure tomorrow. We'll do another edition of the 12 show days. I guess now tomorrow would be like 11 show days of first round draft picks, previewing some picks that maybe the Packers could potentially target with their first overall pick this year. Again, it's not my picks, just kind of basing it off of all the mock drafts that are out there and potential position needs for the green and gold. So we'll hit that up. Stock reports are going to be due tomorrow too. Whose stock is rising and whose stock is falling. Play along with us with your stock reports tomorrow. And then we might do a little sports vigilante if we have some time tomorrow too. We'll hit that up as we try to do every Wednesday over there too. So, and then we won't know who the Bucks play yet. We won't know that. But we might have a night. One team will officially be, out of that running there because whoever wins in the play-in, they're going to be going up against Boston. So, but is that about it? I think that's about it. So, again, big thanks to everybody who participated, whether it was a text, a tweet, video stream, private message, whatever have you. James saying, I agree the Packers are in the top 5. We were talking about the draft success for first-round picks since 2015. The other teams in the top 5 are far less successful franchises that would routinely pick higher in the draft. It's a good point, too. Yeah, those other teams that were listed in the top 5 by Pro Football Focus, Packers more times than not were drafted in the back end of that first round. Good point, James. Good point. All right. Whoever's subbing for DP and Adanettes this week, they're up next. Have a good rest of your Tuesday. Maybe we'll see you tonight at the Lismore Packers Tailgate Tour. Otherwise, talk to you tomorrow.